This is Fountain
Every
Street
week I find
Church.
it hard to find the best ones, but somehow, like I said, you'll hear what I'm trying to say even when the words
Here,
aren't.
we strive to free the mind, grow the soul, and change the world. Here, there is freedom to doubt and freedom to believe. Here, you can find a house of prayer for all people.
The swallow up Jonah.
Welcome to Fountain Street Church. Join us on the journey.
I've been worried for like the last 30 minutes. I couldn't find my wife. She was hiding behind my view in the podium. And I have to tell you that I come to you this morning as a minister to a worship service at 9:45 that involves a great number of children, and as one who serves our Fountain Club high school ministries, and as one who is engaged with Tower Club, our middle schoolers and their coming of age, and as one who has 5 children between 11 and 16. And I bring you a message this morning that I beg you to hear your power within. From our ancestors through the generations comes to us a sacred story named by those who came before, Revelation. It is a fantastical imagination of the end of suffering, of a people who lived on an island in the Aegean Sea who were persecuted so profoundly by the Emperor Nero that they could not imagine an end to their pain. And so one among them rose up and went to the edge of their imagination of what was possible and true for them as they suffered amongst their daily lives, and gave them a vision which allowed them to move that one step beyond their present circumstance and to choose life over death. Hear these words from one John on the island of Patmos from Revelation. I did not see a temple in the city, because God and the One are the temple. The city does not need the sun nor the moon to shine upon it, for the glory gives it light. And the One is the lamp. And the nations will walk by its light, and the kings of the earth will bring their splendor to it. And on no day will these gates ever be shut, for there will be no night there. The glory and the honor of the nations shall be brought to it, and nothing impure will ever enter it, nor will anyone who does what is shameful and deceitful, but only those names of those who are written into the book of life. Friends, may you know that the city of Revelation is not a place you have never been. In an island far away, it is our city. And that the one who would bring the glory and the light is not a person you have never known, in a place you have never visited. Indeed, this day, you are the one. Like the people of Patmos, our young people are suffering. And so I ask you this morning to conjure up a memory as your gift to them. I invite you to remember the most imaginative person you have ever known. Now, by imaginative, I don't mean to limit your recollection to the artists or the musicians you've known. I mean those people like Einstein, whose imagination was with science, or Jefferson, whose imagination was with politics, or Steve Jobs, whose extraordinary imaginative gift was with technology. These people among us who have the rare and often very uncomfortable gift of inviting us to the very edge of our culture's comfortable limit. The limits of what is true and what is possible for us as people. Those who would ask questions of us that make us deeply uncomfortable. Do you have that person in mind? They're pretty weird, huh? Kind of Willy Wonka-like. You know who I'm talking about. Like my 5-year-old son who spent a year living in his Batman footy pajamas. Not because he liked Batman. He was Batman. 100 degrees in July, Batman footy pajamas. Time to go swimming, Batman footy pajamas. Sit naked in front of the washing machine while your cruel parents remove your very identity and force it to be washed. I am Batman. This made me uncomfortable. I knew another kid growing up in high school. As a matter of fact, my wonderful, cherished friend Jennifer, who played for us this morning, reminded me this morning that she knew him too. His name was Toby G. Toby G was that kid in high school that if you asked anyone around town, do you know Toby G? They'd all say, oh yeah, I know that guy. He's weird. He's cool though. Toby G was a guy who lived so far outside of the box of our high school culture that one day he decided to press it even further beyond the limits of our ability to question. He actually brought a box to school and moved in. Toby G took a refrigerator box, poked a hole in the front of it, and wrote the question, "Would you like to talk to the box?" And through the hole, he would poke his finger and look out with his eyeball. And he invited all 1,600 students who came to school that day to come and talk to the box. And they did. So many students wanted to ask the box the questions they couldn't ask their parents, their teachers, their ministers. And you know who was the only guy in town who couldn't and wouldn't talk to the box? The principal. It's not to say that principals are bad. Principals are awesome. They provide the necessary order within a system that allows us to function. It is not his job to be, as Toby was for us, what our Jewish brothers and sisters have named for thousands of years and still name today, someone called a Zaddik. Toby G was a Zaddik. He was the one the culture sent to the edge of their understanding and gave him permission to step over, to see what we are afraid to see, to ask the questions we are afraid to ask, lest we lose that necessary balance between order and imagination that makes for life and life abundant. Isn't it true in our culture, highly imaginative behavior and thinking is at once fascinating and highly suspect? What is it about these highly imaginative people that we know that makes the world so uncomfortable? I think it is this: that those with profound imagination challenge the dominant culture's system of order and of privilege. This is why institutions like schools, fundamental and necessary to the growth of a people, are also largely in the business of creating standardized outcomes. This is why religions over millennia tend to create doctrines and creeds. And I think it's also why in Grand Rapids occasionally restaurant owners become the art police. We need those who would go to the edge. and make the dominant culture uncomfortable. Not because we need to do away with schools and the teachers which are so vital to our life and life abundant, nor to do away with an institution that would bring religious practice to all those seeking freedom and liberation. We need our places of order. But, and as Edwin Friedman, one of the great Jewish thinkers on systems theory for both families and communities and nations, would observe, there are serious consequences for any culture or institution that becomes imaginatively paralyzed. Indeed, he would suggest that all of the great periods of human suffering throughout history, the Dark Ages, the period beyond the 15th century when Western Europe spent all of their time trying to get past America, not seeing the incredible value of this continent that was simply in the way. Friedman tells us through his research that cultures who become imaginatively paralyzed are plagued by 3 symptoms. They are stuck seeking answers to old questions which are no longer relevant. They are addicted to trying harder. And they tend to practice either-or thinking. Over the last 15 years, I've been blessed to spend an extraordinary amount of time with young people. And when they are safe enough to share their heart, they reveal over and over again the suffering that comes from these 3 symptoms of their culture. Follow me here. If you have children or grandchildren, nieces or nephews, particularly our high school students, are stuck suffering with an old question that drives their daily lives. Is what I'm doing right now going to get me into a good college? Is there any other question? And this question was extraordinarily relevant 50 years ago. 50 years ago, when most folks who went to college graduated from college. Today, friends, less than half of those who begin a 4-year degree program out of high school will ever finish it. The question was relevant 50 years ago when in 1960, tuition at Michigan State University was $279 a year.